In the southernmost reaches of the world, where mountains loom like giants frozen by time and forests stretch endlessly under a canopy of whispered secrets, lies a legend older than written history. They call it Shadowsong, a kingdom that was said to rival the glory of empires, yet vanished as if swallowed whole by the earth. Very few have ever dared to search for it in earnest, and those who do only return with stories more fantastical than believable. Some say Shadowsong is the stuff of myth. Others argue that it's simply forgotten, awaiting rediscovery. But the truth is far stranger than anyone dares to imagine. Shadowsong, according to fragmented accounts and forbidden texts, was no ordinary kingdom. It was hidden in perpetual twilight, where the sun lingered at the horizon but never crested the sky. Here shadows danced freely, alive in ways unseen in our waking world. The people of Shadowsong, called the Alarian, were said to be masters of a craft no other civilization could understand. They wielded shadows not as enemies of the light, but as tools, as elements of power. Some legends say they shaped their buildings from shadows themselves, massive spires and domes, glimmering faintly like starlight caught in mirrors. Others claim the Alarian could summon darkness to protect their lands, cloak their warriors, and even hide the entire kingdom from unwanted eyes. But what makes Shadowsong's mystery so profound is not just its culture, it's the abruptness of its disappearance. One day, it's said, the twilight went dark, the songs of the Alarian fell silent, and the land that had shone faintly in the shadows was no longer there. The mountains that bordered the kingdom allegedly shifted, closing in around the valley it occupied like a stone tomb. The forests that surrounded it grew thicker, wilder, as if nature itself were sealing away something it wished forgotten. And though rumors of its existence persisted, no one alive could ever confirm its whereabouts. The first piece of Shadowsong's puzzle came centuries later in the form of an ancient map discovered by an adventurer named Alaric Venn. Toward the edges of the parchment, faded and almost indecipherable, was an outlined territory marked only with a faint crest, a crescent moon suspended within a tower. Scholars debated endlessly whether this emblem matched the descriptions in manuscripts that spoke of Shadowsong. Alaric believed it did. But when he led an expedition to the site the map indicated, he found nothing but endless thickets of silver-leaved trees. Still, whispers swirled about shadows moving too easily in the twilight hours near those woods, and some even claimed they heard fragments of melody carried by the wind, a haunting, mournful tune, unlike anything heard before. The mystery deepened in the years that followed. Stories began emerging from travelers and villagers who lived near the supposed location of Shadowsong. A young farmer claimed he'd seen massive structures in the distance while working his fields at dawn, only for them to vanish in an instant when he turned his head. A merchant reported hearing voices late at night while camped in a nearby valley, melodies so beautiful they brought tears to his eyes. But what frightened him most was the sound of footsteps in the darkness, footsteps that never led to anything visible. A shepherd swore she saw shadowy figures weaving through the trees at dusk, but described them not as threatening, but as tragically beautiful, their movements graceful, almost sorrowful, as if carrying a weight of unspeakable sadness. The mystery deepened in the years that followed. Stories began emerging from travelers and villagers who lived near the supposed location of Shadowsong. And then there was the poet Lucia Thorne, whose work fascinated scholars yet confounded them just as much. In her writings, she described vivid dreams of a city drenched in twilight, where people wore garments woven from shadows and spoke a language that echoed like music. She claimed that in her dreams, time felt different, slower, almost frozen, and that every morning she woke feeling both exhilarated and deeply fatigued. Though no proof existed that Lucia had even seen Shadowsong, her descriptions eerily matched the scattered legends found in old texts. Some historians believe Shadowsong is not a physical place, but rather a metaphor, a symbol for humanity's fascination with the unattainable, a manifestation of our longing for what's hidden. Others have argued it existed in an alternate dimension, a realm we stumbled upon only briefly before losing our way back. But not everyone accepts the mystery as unsolvable. Even now, brave souls venture south into forests so vast and uncharted they feel endless. They search for any trace of Shadowsong, a carving, an artifact, a melody that lingers too long in the air. They seek the truth, drawn by the idea that a kingdom so wondrous couldn't simply disappear, and perhaps within the silver-leaved trees and the perpetual twilight, answers lie. Still, perhaps Shadowsong was never meant to be found. Perhaps its power lies in its very absence, its ability to remind us how fragile memory is and how fleeting even the grandest of accomplishments can be. Maybe Shadowsong is not about uncovering the past, but about embracing the unknown, the unexplained, and the beauty of mystery itself. And so, the legend continues. For as long as the world turns, as long as shadows stretch across forgotten lands, the kingdom of Shadowsong will remain, hidden or imagined, lost but never gone.